Hello everyone, this is my reaction to last week's Star Citizen Live Q&A, Industrial Gameplay.
What is your plan to make industrial gameplay actually fun?
So there are a lot of industrial gameplay loops that we already have, and they work right now in isolation, and they work more. Some work better, some work can be improved.
I think Thorsten isn't the right guy to answer such a question. And I don't think he's playing the game much, if at all. How can we improve industrial gameplay? How about making the game less tedious, less boring? Why do we have to load, unload our ships, moving one container at a time, using either a handheld or a ship-stationed magical tractor beam? Why is this fun? Why is there so much manual work involved into everything we have to do as industrial players? Yes, it's a game, it should be engaging, I shouldn't just press a button and it's done, but this is torture. In 2017, almost 9 years ago, Chris and Tony Sorok had a talk. They were talking about machines, NPCs and services for loading, unloading. Even Chris said the crew of a container ship doesn't do the loading themselves. 9 years later, there's nothing of this in the game, no NPCs, no services, except some kind of auto-loading, but only in some locations.
Steve Apollyon asks, are there any plans on cargo loading of the bigger ships, such as the whole series of ships, and is the loading at a space station or even planetary going to be automatic, or will we have specialized small cargo loading ships similar to Argo to load manually if we choose to, similar to the Argo?
Yeah, we have talked about the fact that we don't want the larger ships to basically just park it, click the button, and it's done. That these larger ships that have vast quantities of materials would actually take a significant period of time to unload and may result in missions for NPCs and or other players to actually undertake. We've actually got a pretty comprehensive design right now, but we're still iterating through that because we actually want to unify some of the functionality for loading and unloading.
Like if I have a big container ship and I pull into the port of LA here at Long Beach, there's a whole setup. There's longshoremen, big cranes, and there's service, and the crew of the container ship don't actually unload the containers themselves. There's equipment that does it, and there's people that are paid to do that. And I would say that in general, in sort of the bigger sort of spaceports, you would have that same kind of setup where you would have the ability to unload the bigger ships, unload the containers. Potentially, we've talked about having the ability for players to sort of play the part of a longshoreman, right, if they're running around in a Largo and taking off a container from a Hully and dropping it to another place and doing that, or having AI do that. And then there obviously will be cases where, which is probably a later question we have here, but there'll be manual unloading and loading of cargo where you don't have the sort of big services, like if I just had a ship and I was off the coast somewhere and there wasn't a port, then obviously I would have to be doing it myself. And so I think we've been looking at ways that you have the sort of automatic option that's the services provided.
Automatic option when appropriate, but the fidelity so that on these smaller ships you can actually, and this makes for much more interesting gameplay in a lot of times, in a lot of different cases, because you can imagine scenarios to where you need to deliver a smaller quantity, a half dozen, a dozen, specific crates of some sort of illegal liquor or something to somebody at a planet.
I think so the answer is there will be services, but we'll also have some specialized ships and equipment for unloading cargo.
Moving forward, and basically that will be also covered by a lot of the questions that you asked, we will always come back to, because we have crafting now and because crafting is right around the corner, everything will start to tie back into together or tie into each other, and then we will finally have a full gameplay loop that is then called the industrial gameplay loop.
As a fellow German myself, I have nothing against Thorsten, but he is a very bad choice for an interview. How do we improve industrial gameplay? Thorsten, well, we have crafting soon. How does crafting improve the boring industrial gameplay? How does crafting improve loading, unloading our ships, moving one container at a time, Thorsten?
So to answer the question, is it fun? Answer the question for yourself. If there's something that you enjoy, it's fun for you.
This feels like Thorsten didn't want to be there, but they have contracts and they have to do this. I guess, please don't invite Thorsten ever again. This is bad. It's the job of the game designer to make the game fun. And Star Citizen industrial gameplay for the most part is boring, tedious, and not fun at all.
Can we have more variety in industrial missions?
Elliot spent like 5 minutes answering this question without saying anything. I have to point this out again. I have nothing against Elliot. I'm sure he is a very nice guy. However, making such a young guy with very little experience in gaming the lead mission designer, what were you thinking, Chris? And we see his work. Missions are boring and repetitive.
These new industrial missions, these new ones that just went online, what was it, last week?
Something like
that. What were those?
Looks like no one on this panel has any idea how to make missions, how to make industrial gameplay fun and interesting in Star Citizen. Now Jared is playing the card, hey, we have those new missions. No, Jared, clearing the air is just Resource Drive 2.0. Even Reddit makes fun of this. And we have this posting on r Star Citizen, not on Refund. This is the White Knight Star Citizen on Reddit. By Jonah DK. Even the stories sound similar. People are dying. Please get all this cargo and shit. And he has a picture. 4.6. Wait a minute. Resource Drive 2.0. Oh shit.
Has the team devised any plans for a cargo manifest MFD of some kind that tells you what you have aboard your ship?
Okay, yeah, so we have plans to do a manifest.
This is exactly one of the reasons why I stopped watching Star Citizen Live many years ago. Well, now I have to again for my reaction videos. CIG, we have plans. We are thinking about. We want to. This isn't a small indie studio just starting with 2 guys talking about how they want to make a game. This is a game project in year 14 with more than $1 billion in funding.
What's the status on ship-based refining? Seems like a critical role with crafting coming.
That is correct. It is a very critical role for crafting. Yeah, it will not be part of the first crafting release. So what we want to do is, like, for crafting as well as for engineering gameplay, it's a more long-term investment from our side.
Again, we want to. Okay, here's CIG's Starfarer page, and we can see, and refine, create your own resources. Yeah, Starfarer is supposed to scoop atmosphere from gas planets and refine it into fuel, still not in the game in year 14.
In regard to reputation for industrial professions, are there any plans to expand what we get from improving said reputations? Rewards and perks instead of just extra missions. Is more work a good reward?
Well, I don't know. I keep getting it. Yes.
No good deed goes on.
Yeah, I know. Everyone is aware that obviously the sort of progression in our game right now isn't there.
Okay, I have to say this full reaction so far is not exactly fun. I guess you have plans. You have ideas. You want to, right?
Is he right?
Yeah.
Are there any plans to generate dynamic salvage claim contracts when a ship goes from owned to game rules?
Yeah, no, it's something that we want to do. There are plans.
If somebody's leaving trash, there should be gameplay to pick it up, what you just said, and put it in the bins. Can you again confirm how you intend for players to enjoy industrial gameplay without there being a need for armed protection, PvP readiness at all times? Your messaging has been mixed, and Spectrum continues to flare up on the issue.
Star Citizen is a living and breathing world. So the ultimate plan, the plan that we're aiming towards, is we'll have systems that have different security rankings, right? The idea that we talked about at CitizenCon was Stanton is a high-sec system. and Pyro is low sec. So because of the current implementation of law and sort of we don't have the law ships coming in and responding like as we want in Stanton. Right now, players can pirate in Stanton with little to no consequence at all. It's the exact same as Pyro. There's little to no consequence at all. So what we want to go towards,
what we want to do, what we are planning. Year 14, $1 billion.
Ultimately, there's always going to be a risk of being attacked by another player or an AI. The difference will be per system, it will be either higher or lower. So you can make an informed decision. So in Stanton, you're meant to be pretty much safe, but it's not going to rule out the fact that you're going to get attacked.
You're meant to be more safe than you will in Pyro, perhaps not as safe as you would in like Terra.
Exactly, yeah.
It's the short answer to this, and Elliot, you actually acquitted yourself very well there, thank you. The answer is the law system is not where we want it to be.
Yeah.
That's essentially the slug line, the 10-cent version of that. There will always be conflict. There will always be some chance of having your day rained upon, just like there is in the real life. But if we do our job right and we continue developing the game the way that we want to, the systems that we're still waiting on, remember how long we waited for server meshing to this, if the systems we're waiting on come online as they're supposed to, eventually this will grow into a place where where those changes in security and everything are obvious to the players, and you will be allowed to make those decisions for yourself.
Okay, this is very good to hear, but I thought, Jared, you had a solution already in 2023.
We got like a 17-minute section that's just dedicated to camping and griefing at the spawn habs. You have the option not to. I understand the thing lets you. But it's a choice to do, and a choice not to. Every one of us are capable of making those choices. We're not a PvP or a PvE game. We're an everything game.
If your game has PvP, it's a PvP game, period. And Chris talked very differently about this in the beginning and even in 2018. You might say, hey, this is old, but people bought chips. People gave Chris money because of what Chris said.
How will random attacks by players in Star Citizen happen?
Well, okay, so you're talking about PvP, and in the case of PvP, there'll be certain areas that it's okay to do PvP, and there'll be certain areas that it won't be okay to do PvP. So if you're in the well-regulated like space around Earth, PvP is only allowed in authorized fashion. So like if there's a bounty on someone's head, for instance, they're a pirate and there's a bounty on the head, well, PvP is authorized on them, so everyone else can go after them. But if you're just a trader, merchant flying around in the safe space lanes, then generally in the really safe areas, PvP isn't really authorized. And so if you do enact PvP, then you sort of, has a hit to your reputation, there could be a bounty on your head, and then of course other people can come after you for PvP. Now there'll be other areas that will be totally open and anything goes, and it'll be PvP, PvE, whatever. And in those areas, obviously it's a lot more risky, but there'll probably be a lot more reward. Like they'll be the ones where the trading runs will yield the most money. You can get missions that will give you the most money. So this kind of the idea is that if you want to sort of stick to a more PvE experience, you can and still have a lot of fun. But you can sort of, if you want to sort of up your return, you can sort of maybe venture into these riskier waters that may be PvP or may not be PvP. You don't know until you get there. I mean, you could run into a really bad AI or that can kick your ass, or maybe you'll be a player, or maybe you don't know. It's sort of an open setup.
So we're definitely going to have experiences in first person on planets that will allow you to sort of do more than just walk around and buy stuff and sell stuff and talk to people in a bar. So we're actually going to add some sort of PvE style stuff, like you go down a dark alley and potentially get mugged, or someone tries to pull a gun on you in a bar. But they would all be mod NPCs, because we don't really want to have sort of unauthorized PvP on planets, because that wouldn't be that much fun for a lot of people. But we're going to make it sort of richer
for people?
First off, it's not, this is like a lot of people seem to think of Star Citizen as like PvP, there can only be one Highlander style, right? I put that in my letter. But it's not. I mean, it's yes, if you want to participate in PvP or compete with other organizations, we are going to put that gameplay in there. But the design of this is to have like 90% of the universe be AI, so actually most of your content in the game will be PvE, and it's certainly going to be fashioned in a way that if you don't want to engage in mano or person to person, woman or whatever I should say, the appropriate setup in terms of competition, you don't have to. And one of the reasons why I want 90% AI population is that the problem with PvP is there is always a winner and a loser. And both those people are players that have paid money for the game. And, not everyone is the best dogfighter, or not everyone's the best FPS player, or not everyone's the best trader, or whatever. So the great thing about AI is we can make AI of all levels. So no matter what, even if you're a crappy dogfighter, you can still take down some AI pirates and feel like you're the man. It's like, okay, yeah, I got him, I took him down. And so I really want to make sure that that's there so people can have a good time, because if you're only ever competing against other people, then there will always be winners and losers. And if you're someone that's not that great or don't have enough time to really practice up, it'll be a sucky experience for you and you won't play. So I want, people that, fall into that category to have opportunities to go out there and have fun and whip up on some pirates or do whatever they want to do without having to be forced into head-to-head competition. And so based on that side, then it's not head-to-head competition in the overall game. I mean, the game has that if you want it, it has that if you don't want it. So it's not all about there isn't like this is the master of the universe person that you're going to get to.
Yes, are there any plans to use the SRV in salvage recovery missions, aka tow a shipwreck to hangar or junkyard?
We have plans for sure. We've prototyped it once or twice, but there are issues with it.
We have plans. Yeah, Argo SRV is totally useless right now.
Bring back the racing missions.
We have a bunch of missions, like the courier ones, that I don't want to say died, but broke when we did 4.0. The systems changed and it was quite a lot to get back. The racing missions are also one of them. They require, it's kind of like a multifaceted thing to get them working. It requires a little bit of us, a little bit of engineering, a little bit of UI, sort of to get it all together. However, we also want to look at the experience of it. One thing that we found really frustrating, and I know players did as well, was I get my ship, I fly 30 minutes to get to the racetrack, I bungle out on the first fucking corner, and then I'm like, right, let's get that flight suit, let's reclaim that ship, let's wait. We want to have and try to get a nicer experience for racing missions than what is currently, ages ago there was all sort of talks about having some form of like a little platinum bay right next to the station, maybe a little med zone, boom, boom, back in the ship, round the track. Because we want racing in, we also want it to be fun and accessible.
I find it very interesting that sometimes CRG actually has a plan, and this plan is very good. Spawning your racing ship right at the track and having the ability to respawn if you died. Very good ideas. But again, nowhere to be seen. And the biggest issue is, of course, since we got master mode in 3.23, racing is no fun anymore. Actually, flying our spaceships in general is no fun anymore.
Any plans to release fueling or towing missions this year?
We're actually currently working on refueling missions, and we're doing 2 types for the initial release. We're going to do player to AI refueling. So this is where I have my Starfarer. I can take a contract from the faction, which I'll leave as a surprise for later, not because I forgot the faction name. We'll offer you the contract, you'll go, there will be a ship that's out of fuel, and you will go up to it and you'll fill it full of fuel.
Finally, some missions for Starfarer. However, there are lots of issues with refueling. It was thrown into the game in 3.17 2022, never touched, never improved. It is slow and tedious. We can only refuel one ship at a time. Both ships have to be stationary. And UI, like most UIs in Star Citizen, is really bad. CRG just reused the docking interface, which is very slow. Why can't the ship lay fuel lines automatically? With fuel lines we could refuel while moving and refuel more than one ship at a time.
I'm gonna address this because it came up, but Commander Tanith says your industrial players don't want constant combat in their industrial missions. A rare chance is one thing, but adding combat into every aspect of the game is lazy. Commander Tanith, I'm not saying we're gonna add combat into every aspect of the game.
Well, this is exactly what you do, CRG. You're adding combat into everything because combat is so easy to do, no effort at all. We still don't have any security forces in the game, and consequences for combat or for grieving are non-existent. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Let's move back to the cargo refactor a bit. When it comes to loading and unloading of cargo in space, docking arms for ships and in hangars, how do you plan to protect the player's ship from someone coming on board during a manual loading process and flying away or stowing away on board? Basically, how can players protect themselves during this vulnerable time?
Yeah, I think the bigger question is, how are you going to protect your ship and your cargo that's being loaded and unloaded on your ship?
I'm fine being responsible for my ship and my cargo, but I need keys or biometric locks. We have none in year 14. Everyone who makes it onto the pilot seat still has full control over your ship. CRG is talking about the captain of a ship can set permissions for more than 10 years by now. The ability to secure my cargo, to draw a weapon and if needed shoot a thief, cannot do this in armistice zones. Police or security forces, we have none in Star Citizen in year 14, except the brain-dead and annoying NPCs scanning our ships for contraband, but even those are gone now. Bring some friends, join an orc, it doesn't help. We cannot draw guns in armistice zones, we cannot shoot at a thief. Star Citizen is still clip galore, it is easy to clip into almost any ship with an interior. And now I clipped to the ship. This is an old bug that is still in the game. You can clip into almost any ship with an interior. This means you can easily steal ships. We have an Andromeda and a Dragonfly. You're just flying underneath the cargo elevator and using the Z axis to move up. And then you're just pressing your dismount button. Easy as it gets, you are inside, you have full access to the ship. All those doors are automatic doors, you cannot even lock them. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.